Okay, so I've been doing a series on how to improve a number of your kicks from karate. This one's about front kick, or Geri, the front snapping kick. So first we're going to go over how to do the kick, a few exercises that I'd like to teach to develop the kind of mechanics of the kick and to improve the performance of it, and then how to deliver it on a target and also in kumite or in sparring. Remember always that these are my ideas and how I teach it. In your dojo it may be a little different, you know. Use this for reference. This is not the only way to do it, but it's the way I like to do it. So let's get going. So the way I teach the kick is this way. I'll start basically with the feet side by side. My back foot, or the kicking leg, the leg I'm going to kick with, I'll bring my kicking foot in line with my knee, or my support leg. Okay? Traditionally, we talk about using a really high chamber position. I'm going to go over why I don't do that in a minute. But I like to bring my ankle of the kicking leg in line with the support leg knee. Now from this point here, I have a press forward with the hip. Now this is what is raising the kick, or raising the knee to that height that we normally talk about in traditional teaching. So from here, in line with the knee, pop the hip forwards, which then gives the snap to the kick. So the hip driving forwards and back is what's generating that force now. So my action is this again. From here, pop forwards, toes up, snap the kick and pull back. So that action of hip forwards and back is what's getting my kick forward and back there. And I take that into a stance position from here. The first action then is get to this point, that squeeze. Hamstring squeeze at the back, straight off the ground. We don't want to be dragging along the floor here. So my first action is immediately pick that kick up to that point. Then same position, ankle bone to the knee, pop the hip, snap the kick and back down again. One thing I like to avoid is changing the guard first. I know some teach it this way, but for me, I don't like that because it telegraphs the kick. If I show this action, it's going to invite a punch or something, or they're going to move out of the way. So from here, I keep the guard as it is. I can pull that right hand or the back hand a little bit into the kick to allow that hip to work even more, in the same way we would have with a Mawashi Geri. So here, knee comes up, guard stays the same. I fire that kick, hands are up, so I'm ready for delivering something as I come down. So the reason I don't go with such a high chamber is because I don't want the kick to come up high and then push out from above. I want the kick to almost ride upwards as like a rising kick almost. So from here then, the knee comes, like I said, to the knee joint, the foot comes to the knee joint, and then I pop that hip forwards into the target, this way. So I'm lifting and I'm pressing into that target this way. My aim then is to almost come up into the pad in this direction, rather than a straight pressing kick. You know, we can do like a thrusting kick. If the pad, if we come up really high, we can sort of press into it this way, more like a Muay Thai kind of kicking action. But for the Geri, I like to use it as a setup to hands or something else. So from here, I'm coming underneath and digging that into the lower abdomen area from here. There, and then it's ready to go with the hands afterwards. What is commonly found with students is that they end up skimming the bag. So they come here and skim upwards this way. And that's because the hip is not pressing forwards, because we want that hip to come into the kick as we deliver it. It looks like I'm leaning back away from the kick, but my feeling is pressing forwards. So it looks the same. If you was to pause the video at the end point of that kick, there's an angle backwards here. But what I'm doing is I'm moving the hip forwards rather than moving my shoulders back. If I move my shoulders back, I go backwards. So I want to think about hips forwards as I make that kick coming into it. So when delivering the kick then, like I said, I want to try and ride it up underneath his guard this way. So it's coming from the floor in an immediately straight line. I don't want to come up and kind of go in two actions, like a lift and a press. I want the foot to go from the floor to the target in one smooth action this way. And then what I'm doing from there is I'm setting up the hands for something else. So I want to use this kick as a setup for other techniques maybe. Again, we can use that thrusting technique to get distance, but the way I'm doing it right now is not that version. One exercise I like to use when I'm teaching this kick is this one from the floor. So his body is supported by his hands and his feet, and his hips are off the ground. I want to train that pressing action with the hip and the snapping back of the kick, that hikiashi action where the foot is returning to that chamber point. So he pushes the hips up, fires the kick and stops just as he comes down. So hold the pause on it. So kick one, stop. This is the action I want to try and train, okay? So then he comes down, fire the hip up, snap the kick, and squeeze. So imagine we're squeezing something behind that knee, you know, really contracting the hamstrings. He pops up, 1, holds it. So we can do this for sets of 10 or so, but it's a really nice exercise to train that snapping action whilst taking balance out of the equation and also getting that hip drive for the kick. Also for building strength and stuff in the legs and the glutes and quads and all this kind of stuff. Another exercise I like to use for the chamber position is to take a pad or a glove or a ball and stick it behind the leg and squeeze that position there. So we train that chamber position, holding that, squeezing back against the pad. So I'm actively pressing or crushing the pad under my calf and between my hamstring and calf there. Squeeze that and hold. We can drop that in and work on that snap back from there. We can work on that re-chamber position of the kick. Yeah? So the kick comes out, squeezes back. And that's the exercise. Squeezing behind there, holding that guard up position and just getting that isometric hold. Another exercise I like to do to build strength and conditioning in the legs is to do a lunge into a front kick. So from here, I have the knee touching the floor. Now what this does is it forces me to chamber the kick correctly. So as I come up, my knee must chamber as I come up here. So I'm here and I'm firing that hip and then coming back down again. So again, find that point from that position, drive up through the supporting leg, find that point, snap the kick and back down softly onto the floor. From here, find the point, snap the kick and back down. Here, snap the kick and back down. So we can do that for sets of 6, 8, 10, whatever you're comfortable with doing, but it's a nice exercise to really force that chamber and re-chamber of the kick. So the final thing we need to take care of is the foot position, because we don't want to be breaking our toes on impact. So the target or the kicking, the surface area we're kicking with is the ball of the foot. So one thing I like to do on these mats really is just to kind of tap the floor with the ball of the foot is one idea, so you can keep practicing that while you're kind of just warming up or something. But a more important stretch, I think, or exercise is to sit on your knees and get the toes stretched back, so we're here, and just leaning on one side or the other, just to build that mobility, flexibility, and position in the ankles and the feet. Also, don't forget to check out my sponsors, Art Martial Clothing, for martial arts inspired lifestyle, casual and training gear. They've got some really nice stuff on their site. I'll put a link down in the description of this video with a discount code to get you 20% off your first order. So hopefully you fix your Geri with some of those exercises and ideas there. Remember, like I said, this is how I teach the kick. It's not the only way to do the kick. Check with your instructor, your sensei, how you do it, how they do it. But use this as a reference if it helps you out. Let me know in the comments below if this video helped you out. What kick would you like to see next? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and I'll see you next time. Push the hip up, extend the kick, and back. So, kick, 1. Then kick, and kick together, 2. So that's the hip action. Boom, that does the kick. Boom. Yeah.